Hello people, this is xxxild. As many of you know, I have been supporting a woman named Dr. Fiona Robertson since September of 2019, when she took a lot of heat and came under a lot of attack for making a video that was very appropriate in response to Steve McRae hosting a convicted rapist on his channel and then proceeding to defend him. He called everyone who was trying to get the information to him a troll, including myself, ignored the evidence, believed the lies of the rapist, and then Steve's following went on an attack of me and Fiona and a few of us who were basically standing our ground, that this is the great debate community. We don't defend rapists. We don't defend convicted rapists. We don't believe pathological liars like Earl David Worden and then spew from other social media platforms such as Twitter, telling people that everything's okay with him. Just believe me. I'm Steve McRae. I know what I'm talking about. And if you don't believe me, go ask him. He's the rapist, but go ask him. Yeah. Things like that. There's massive amounts of evidence of Steve's story changing, the narrative shifting, and then Red's Rhetoric and Cheshire Vic decided to make a hit piece on Fiona Robertson and then proceed to tell everybody to never listen to anything she has to say and do nothing but smear her and lie about her. The compilation of clips that I'm about to show are just a smattering of what happened when their campaign against Fiona started to go sideways for them. In other words, Steve enlisted a bunch of other people, mostly women, from the beauty community and the teen mom fan community into the great debate community over their shared hatred of Katie Joy Paulson. And as a big bloviating blowhard, Steve ended up hearing questions from some of these women. What's this rape apologetic stuff you did? Are you a rape apologist? And the reason people started calling Steve a rape apologist and questioning whether or not Steve was a rape apologist was because they had strawmanned Fiona's argument. Fiona Robertson did never call Steve a rape apologist. She simply said he engaged in a common rape apologetic. She thought it was important enough to correct the record, and she did. And she basically handed Steve his ass for his behavior. They didn't like that. Reds had some history with Fiona. Fiona used to be his emotional crutch for many years. And then one day just basically told him to fuck off. She was tired of his shit. So he had a hard-on for her and proceeded to scream her name and shout her name and from every stream that he went on. Same with Cheshire. Here, there, everywhere. It's hard to keep track of all the various platforms where they defamed Fiona Robertson. And I'm going to share a sampling of evidence. This is evidence that will be hopefully getting to the police in Canada at some point. And then at the end, you'll find a recent clip of Fiona telling her story about this incident. And it comes from Ethan Plays Live. Ethan used to be known as ProLib. Had Fiona on to talk about her experience in the GDC. And as part of her experience, this issue came up. So you will hear Fiona tell the story of the repercussions that this online harassment had in her very real life. And once you hear the clip and you hear what happened, you'll understand why. This is something I knew about. I never spoke of it in public, but I knew about it. I don't know if anybody else did. Maybe Holy Spackle, maybe some of her other close friends, but I knew about it, and it's been very painful for me to carry. So as you know, I am supporting and have been supporting Fiona since, again, September 2019. She deserves to be given a lot of credit for speaking up about this, because basically, no, we don't defend convicted rapists in the great debate community or any other community. We simply don't do that. And at some point, someone has to draw a line. And it was Fiona who drew that line, and it was me who reinforced the line, and it was Heretic who reinforced the line, and it was Nate Brody who drew the line into a concrete wall, and others. And there are lots of people who stand with us today, and I cannot think to name every one of you, but I value every single one of you, because it is not, strangely enough, the most popular opinion to say, no, we don't defend convicted rapists who are pathological liars, and we don't buy their bullshit. In fact, once we realize that they have lied to us, we call them out, something that Steve, Reds, and Cheshire have never done to this day, even though they know he's a liar and a convicted rapist. Instead, they tormented my friend, and for this, they will always be remembered as the scumbags that they are. So, I think I've said my piece on that. What they've done to my other friend Marie, what some of you people, you know who you are, have done to my friend Marie, you too are scumbags. You too will be known one day, and you will be remembered as people who are willing to get real mad about the online argument that you're having with someone and take it into their very real life, which is reprehensible, actually egregious, and I am just so fucking done with people who do this type of thing. So, we've all experienced frauds, Sean Hufford, frauds, Ilya Moon, who was brought into the community by Steve and Cheshire Vic and Red's Rhetoric to defend Steve against his mistakes with Earl David Warden, a convicted rapist. Seriously. She took stories from many of you who may be listening, your sexual assault stories, and you told those to her, and then you learned that she is a complete pathological liar herself and a fraud. She lied about having cancer. She took money from everybody for having cancer. She did it in a really twisted and demented way. Red's Rhetoric covered up for her to the very last minute, and I have reported both of them to the police in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have had it with you thieving, lying, fake skeptics. I have just had it. You have turned this community into more garbage, more of a garbage dumpster than it ever was. And I should have listened when somebody tried to warn me about you years ago. Red line. It was Justicar. And say what you will about Justicar, but he recognized a scumbag when he saw one, and he saw that in you. And I should have paid attention. And instead, I stayed friendly with you. And instead, I let my friend Jade stay friendly with you. I should have forbid her from going anywhere near you or Steve McRae. And I hate myself for that. I hate myself. Anyway, these are the clips. At the end, you're going to hear a song that I wrote when I was 27. I didn't write the music. I wrote the lyrics. My band wrote the song. I performed the vocals. And it's a really bad recording because it comes from a cassette tape. But back in my 20s, I did write quite a few songs, some lyrics about childhood sexual abuse, especially in a religious setting. And one of them at the end, it's my own song, and I'm sorry for the poor audio quality, but I just for some reason feel like I wanted to give it to Fiona. I wanted to dedicate it to the woman who lost her support when she was trying to stand up to the Catholic Church. And because of some online antics of some scumbags here in this great debate community, she lost her support, stood down against the fight, and then became suicidal. Fiona will tell the story, but the song is dedicated to her today. Okay, everybody, I will proceed sharing the clips.
Because Katie was trying to run narrative to help her false allegation against me. That's
Somebody
what it was.
asked if she's sitting on a throne of garbage, and I would say that would actually be an amazing sit, like if she was doing it ironically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
By the way,
no. Let me rephrase. Reds was sexually assaulted by Fiona.
yeah, they're not liking you for that. By the way, they went nuts. But there's something called accusation by implicature.
Hey, welcome, buddy. It is a kind of an impromptu late night stream. It's about 9:40 something my time, and that's in the Pacific time. And I was just getting done watching Leslie have a stream on Instagram. Now, I'm not a big Instagram user. I'm kind of a noob at it. I don't know how to use it very well. But I'll occasionally listen to some of the streams on BlueStacks that I use for my computer to emulate an Android emulator. So I was watching that, and she and Flossie, her sister, were kind of going over some of the narratives that Katie Joy Paulson has been running lately.
Made to them. Hey, I can say on pretty good authority that a good friend of ours, Red's Rhetoric, was sexually assaulted by Fiona at JFK.
I know that story.
Uh-huh.
Using the same reasoning, yeah. If not physically, I mean physically, sexually assaulted.
Like actually sexually assaulted by this woman.
So I mean, again, Katie doesn't know these people. She has no idea what she got herself into when she started messing with this group. We know this group for years. They were part of the Great Debate community, which was one of the reasons I left that group behind. And anybody who's been following me for years knows the story. And I'm sorry that both of you guys got kind of caught up with that. But it was a mixture and a weird amalgamation of people from my communities, your communities, and other communities. They kind of mixed together, and I think they were coming after me, and then that just kind of like Leslie in the crossfire. And so I do feel really bad about that, and I'm hoping this charity thing drive kind of maybe eases my conscience a little bit for that. We just had a $50 super chat from Monica.
Well, hello and welcome, everybody. We've got a special Shills presentation tonight. Oh, yes, indeed. Somebody's YouTube channel, I think it is, Anti-Ordinary, decided to do a live premiere. It just started right now. We're going to get right to it. And they're attacking some people that we know in the community, and we thought it would be an absolute great time to jump in and give our opinion at the same moment. And we've got somebody that's knee-deep in it with us. We've got Cheshire Vic. So let's see who is at the table with us all today and get right into this. So let's go right to Cheshire. How's it going? What do you think? This is going to be great.
I mean, realistically, if it's knee-deep for a normal person, it's probably over my head as a goblin. Luckily, I'm a swamp goblin, so I can swim in bullshit.
All right.
And it's not a rape, by the way.
I think we should.
It's an assault.
I think we should elaborate on that as much as we can.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So the argument that she's talking about, or the thing that was said, was by me. And the argument is part of a layered argument that we went over in the 5-hour stream. And it's essentially that what I had said was that somebody named Fiona had sexually assaulted Red's Rhetoric. And I'm taking that off of the word of the victim, which would be Reds. And I purposefully did not give any other information. I just made the allegation. Part of that was part of a layered argument that has to do with the number of people, and these people specifically calling Steve a rape apologist. So by their definition, if they don't believe me about Fiona, they're all rape apologists. That's essentially the argument that's being made. The second half of that is that I happen to trust and believe Reds. So if that's not good enough for them, then it's not good enough to be calling Steve a rape apologist now, is it?
That's 100%, absolutely, positively.
Now there is something else to be said, that if Reds decides that he wants to have that conversation, he's more than welcome to have it. And in the past, he's been more than willing to have it. However, he doesn't seem too keen on having the conversation with Demi. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, well, after these kinds of displays, who would want to?
So here's the thing. Keep in mind that she came at him sideways because of his conversation with Unirock, thank you. And then moving on from this conversation, where she has not apologized for her behavior so far. She has not addressed it. She's just moved on and treated it like it hasn't happened, and is excusing it by saying, well, I'm a bitch all the time, so you should just accept it, which isn't the case. That's actually pretty abusive behavior if it's continued. Now she's essentially, as far as he's concerned, still coming at him sideways, and now she's talking about an assault, that he was the one assaulted. And she went on and on at the beginning of this video about how she's a victim. So why would you speak to a victim like that?
That's a really good point. It doesn't make any sense. It's
because she's trying to push a narrative, which if you play the video, she'll continue to read where Red says, well, gee, I wonder what narrative you're going to try and spin if I don't answer you. Oh, and look at what they've been trying to do. Oh, and look at her video. Guess he got called out. Remember when I said earlier that all of this has probably already been debunked?
Yeah.
You called it right at the start.
And Mr. Victory.
How about this? But we'll just call her the person that sexually harassed Red's Rhetoric. How about that?
Oh, okay.
That's not cool.
Sorry, it wasn't harassed.
That's not cool.
Assault.
Since the question is out there in the internet ether, I'm going to go ahead and explain the Fiona situation because I'm done dealing with this shit. I am not going to label what Fiona did as assault.
So that is just a smattering of the different platforms I was able to capture these cretins defaming my friend Fiona Robertson. And now we'll get into Fiona telling her story. This was just this week. This was just recent. She's going to tell the story, and then I will play my song.
Sure.
That was the genesis for Cheshire Vic deciding to publicly accuse me of sexually assaulting Red's Rhetoric at JFK in 2017, which is a load of bloody marsh gas, because there was somebody, a third person as a witness, who knows exactly what happened. And his the description that Reds gives of what happened is rubbish to begin with. And certainly even his description wouldn't amount to sexual assault. And he says it wasn't sexual assault, but Cheshire Vic chose 3 times to publicly accuse me of sexual assault. And then she explained in a 4th one her reasoning behind it to make a layered argument, which meant that if anybody defended me against this, they could turn around and say, well, what, like Steve defended Warden? Oh, well, that makes you a rape apologist as well, because you're defending Fiona. Is she saying I raped him in international arrivals at 2:10 in the afternoon in broad daylight in a packed JFK airport? Seriously? Off her head. However, that accusation of hers has actually been serious.
And
Because
I
you
want to
see-
say something real quick before you follow this up, because Hannah just said that she was the third person read in Cheshire lying. I guess I can say this publicly now. I've known this for a long time. Hannah told me ages ago that she was there, but it didn't want to say anything about it. So I've known this.
I've kept her name out of it as much as I can.
Absolutely, and I did too. And I've known this for a long time, and I didn't say anything publicly because Hannah asked me not to, so I didn't. And Hannah,
What has
I
happened
applaud you
now-
for coming out and saying it. Go ahead.
What's happened now is last year, things got pretty bad. Because with this accusation hanging over me, there were certain things that I could no longer do that I had done before. And I had been working with someone. I'd been supporting a victim of rape. And she was heading towards a trial. And she was the main prosecution witness. And suddenly I'm out of the picture. Her supporter is no longer there. I'm gone. And she's not given an explanation. All she knows is that the one person she was counting on just to be there for her was no longer there. And this was in a case of a child abusing priest. It was historical child abuse. And I'm sorry if you get demonetized for this.
I'm not monetized, so you're totally fine.
I don't want to sugarcoat this for YouTube. This was a priest who was accused of doing this to a number of children. And they'd finally built the case, and she was the main witness because she'd been the oldest child that it happened to. I mean, she lost her support. She lost her courage, and I'm not calling her a coward. And she went to the police and said she was withdrawing her testimony. And the police had no option but to drop the case against this priest. And they told this lady, by the way, it's your fault he's back on the street again. And she tried to kill herself. So last year, as we were heading into the pandemic, and I'm getting worried for health and all the rest of it, I was also dealing with this, and I was losing my... knowing what was happening, and knowing that this guy was back on the street, and someone told me to pull myself together and not be so upset. And I'm sorry, but when you're in the middle of going through things, you can't just get over it, because you're still in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And this is what really, as Wayne Hudson would say, this is what really boiled my piss. Because I couldn't see anything about what was going on in the background at that time. I couldn't see a thing, but I was losing my mind. Knowing this guy's now back out there. We don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's back in another parish. So, let me say this, and I am going to get so much fucking shit for this, but I'm going to say it. Hey, Cheshire Vic, you're all about victims. Congratulations, you made a hell of a lot more. Well done. Because that guy's walking the streets because of your stupid little games, dearest Cheshire. But hey, I'll pull myself together. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. I really did. Because...
You're fine.
I feel so strongly about supporting victims. And to know that because someone told that lie, a serially abusing priest is walking the streets again. And that poor lady tried to kill herself because of it. These are the repercussions of lies like these. And this This is now what I have to live with. Knowing that I let that woman down. I let her down because I couldn't be there for her anymore. And that tears me apart inside to this day. Because I needed to protect others. That lady got sacrificed. And any other victims of that priest, their sacrifices for my protection of other people. And if anybody wonders why I'm still angry, you think of that. How many more people need to be sacrificed to protect others that don't want to get involved? How many? How many children? How many adult victims that have to revisit what happened in their childhood? And once they've gone through all that and they get to weeks before their court date and then it all falls apart. How many more? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I need to stop at this point because I'm getting...
No, I know. I have...
really wound up and the anger is really coming out.
Yeah.
And
I'm the same way. Like there's a bunch I want to say too, but I...
So yeah. So we have Cheshire to thank for the fact that there is a child sexual predator walking the streets in Scotland because of her. Thank you, Chesh. Now, fuck off. Dear, how's that? Oh, and before I forget, God bless. There you go.
Fiona, I think you might have just done the greatest interview that I've ever conducted, and I appreciate it. You are an absolute treasure, and I was so overwhelmingly excited when you told me you wanted to do this, and I really, really, really appreciate you being here with me.
Sorry, I'm shaking like a leaf here.
It's okay.
It's just the anger. I do have a dreadful temper, and when I get angry, I shake and I cry, and it makes me look so weak, but it's sheer unadulterated.
Fiona, I think you're a lot of things, but you're not weak. You are not weak. And I need to say something too to Hannah. Hannah, you aren't a coward. Your act was not one of cowardice. I understand exactly why you wanted to keep things quiet for as long as you did. You aren't a coward. I never thought that you were a coward. And I applaud you, my friend. And I'm always here if you need me, and you know that already. But I'm always here if you need me. Always. All right, we're going to shut this down because we're both going to go on long profanity-laden rants if we don't. Where can people find you?
I don't... Well, ever since the stuff from Chesh, I don't do videos anymore. I tweet. That's about it.
Okay.
I've withdrawn from nearly every Discord I was in. Because this stigma that hangs over me now means that I don't really want to do very many online interactions. I was nearly physically sick before coming live with you tonight because of the effect that this has had on me. Because you have to remember, I'm a rape victim myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just, somebody on the periphery not knowing what it's like. I've been there. And then I'm going through all this all over again.
Yeah.
And so they can't find me anywhere, really, unless they find me on Twitter. But currently, because these accusations started up again on Twitter last week, and I think maybe a month before that as well, they were brought up again. I've had to protect my Twitter because I get the accusations of, oh look, it's Fiona the pervert. So my social media is basically gone.
No,
I've done the pandemic without it.
I get it. Well,
quiet pandemic.
Well, you know, you can always. I'm always here if you just need somebody to listen. You know that. All right, I'm gonna shut this thing down. Fiona, thank you again. Live chat, thank you guys.
I'm sorry this happened to you, Fiona. You did the right thing as far as YouTube community goes, as far as the great debate community goes. You're really too good for it. Most of the people I know and like on here are. It's really quite a shithole. And I'm sorry these horrible people took root here and grew. I can see they're stunted though. They're not going to get much bigger. Too many people have learned. That doesn't help the victim that you were supporting. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help the handful of people who have told me about the real life harassment they've received in their lives just for upsetting these little cretins' feelings. But it's got to stop. We're going to make it stop sometime. We're going to make it stop. It will stop. People will join it. People will join the movement to make them stop this shit that they do. And to get back to making honest arguments and replying to people with their arguments instead of their bullying and harassment. Have a nice day, people.